Welcome to episode 502 of Salcedo Paranormal, and tonight I am sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salcidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or if you listen on the podcast or YouTube feeds, or if you listen on the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Trouble Minds Radio comes on. As always, I'd like to thank Michael Strange, host of Trouble Minds Radio, as well as Liam Martin, host of the Exile Minds podcast, for producing the shows and putting them up on the station as you hear them with all the music and everything. If you'd like to support the show, there are some different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your podcast platform of choice. I also have some paranormal fiction and nonfiction books you can check out over on Amazon. I have a Patreon page where you can sign up at any membership level, tier level there, to get any additional content. I have 1 episode of the show up there so far. More to come in November once I get back from the Paracon. So help is never expected, but always appreciated. Oh, and I also have, I forgot to mention, I do have links for PayPal and Venmo if you'd like to make a one-time donation. But yeah, help is never expected, but always appreciated, especially right now as I am going to the Mid-Michigan Paracon this November 4th and 5th. That's just under 2 weeks away from now. That's going to be in Mount Pleasant, Michigan at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. And it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. And I'm going to be going to the presentations there as many as I can and hopefully talking with people and making audio recordings of myself and anyone else that wants to join me, talking about all things paranormal. And then I'll bring those recordings back and feature them on shows. So, as I always say, I forgot to mention the after help is appreciated but never expected. There are other expenses along with the travel expenses. There's, of course, equipment and research materials. So just wanted to put that out there. I think that covers just about everything for now. So I think I can get to the stories here. Thank you all for being here and listening. We get to the stories here, and we'll get started with that. Let me see. Okay. This one says, at my parents' house, I was taking out the recycling. The recycling bins are in the backyard. After emptying the recycling bin, I pushed open the backyard gate. I glanced at the neighbor's backyard and saw something I couldn't explain. I saw a small light on the side of the neighbor's house, outlining a tiny humanoid creature. This creature ran extremely fast, clearing the neighbor's backyard gate in a single jump. The sight was horrifying, and I froze, unable to move. My heart was beating rapidly. I tried to rationalize the sighting, but I knew what I had seen. I had trouble sleeping that night and couldn't forget the incident. The creature was around 3 to 4 feet tall, colorless, stocky, and moved too quickly to be human. It never made eye contact and just kept running forward. I don't know if the experience was paranormal, but it was not normal either. I wish I had taken a photo, but it happened so fast. Does anyone know what that could have been? and that's where that story ends. It sounds like some kind of version of what you would like call the basically a little figure, little one sighting. Just of, I don't know what kind, but different names apply, of course, to all those. There's fae, fairy, elves, gnomes. I don't know. Colorless is that's a detail that I wonder about. I'm wondering if it was the light that was blotting out the color, but I don't know. But the height and then the speed is amazing there, especially going over a gate when it's that much shorter. I'm wondering how tall the gate was. I know some yards, fences, and gates they are only 3 or 4 feet tall, but then there's other ones, obviously, where people have these fences and gates that are more like privacy fences, where they go up almost basically taller than a person, or at least up to like 5 or more feet. So I wonder about that as well, but I don't know. Really amazing story there. I don't blame the writer for being surprised by that. And I'm wondering, of course, where they're at, where they lived at the time, where their parents lived. But obviously we don't know that, but it doesn't really matter in a way, because there are sightings of such figures all around. Definitely all around Europe and then the U.S. as well. So it could have been anywhere, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's really different versions of that kind of a figure, possibly all around the world. So amazing story there, and yeah, I'm not sure what they saw. Excuse me, but so neat story there. Let me see here. I gotta check on something. I can't remember if I did. Okay. Want to make sure my phone was silenced. So moving on to the next story here. Let's see. Checking on something. Yeah, everything looks good. Okay. So yeah, moving on to the next story here. This one says, "This happened when I was 7 years old. It was a family gathering at my parents' house. While everyone was talking, I felt compelled to look out the window. There weren't any curtains or blinds on that window to my left. I saw a pale little boy by a tree, very close to the window. The boy and I locked eyes, with the boy appearing surprised that I could see him. I squinted to get a better look, but didn't feel scared. When I looked away and then back, the ghostly boy had disappeared. I told my brother about this right away, marking it as the day I saw a ghost. Over time, I began to doubt the experience, thinking I might convince myself it was nothing. But the encounter left me wondering whether ghosts resemble human beings rather than being transparent or just gray or blurs. I also wondered why I had more paranormal experiences as a child compared to what I have now." And that's where the story ends. It's sort of a short one. Of course, people that sort of don't look into these things wouldn't be aware that there are a lot of experiences people have as a child, sometimes even more than what they do have when they're an adult. So that part doesn't surprise me so much. And again, if you're not looking into these things, it might be surprising to someone that ghosts, whatever they may be, look solid, that they don't look like you would see on TV or movies, because there's a range. Yes, there are some that look transparent or translucent. There are some that are just blobs or blurs of a certain color. But then you have the other ones where they look like a regular person, but then they appear or disappear, or both, too fast to be a regular person. Um, so I don't blame the writer there if they're not into these things for having those questions at all. And but yeah, that's not uncommon there. What they talked about, and that whole thing with sort of getting this feeling like they should look in a certain direction or to a certain place. That happens so much, not just with ghost stories, but with a lot of other things too, with UFOs, aliens, whatever, cryptids. And I don't know what that is, but it's there. And so, is that some kind of a contact with some other entities, or is it just sensing them, or is it both? I don't know, but uh, really odd. I sort of had that last night when I like I mentioned, I decided at like 20 minutes before stream time that, well, I might as well go. I might as well go. Excuse me, I can't talk. I might as well go get the mail, and so I did that, and that's when I saw something that I couldn't really easily explain. And I've talked about it with some friends, and I had one suggest that it sounded like satellites. Another one suggested or mentioned that they didn't think it did sound like satellites, and I have no idea one way or the other, except for it did seem like there was a presence there, a couple of presences there, and right in the direction of where those lights were at. So I don't know for sure, but and I don't discount either of those friends' points of view on that. I have no idea, but still, there was that initial factor of, oh, I'm just gonna go and get the mail. I don't know why I feel like doing it right now, but that's what I'm gonna go and do, and I did, and then I had that sighting. So who knows? To me, that sort of kind of hints at maybe there was something going on there, but obviously I don't know. So neat story there, and I'll move on to the next one. But yeah, the contact or the suggestion or whatever that is really is amazing to me, because I just don't know what that how that works or what that means, or if it's good or bad, or if it depends on the situation. I guess it probably depends on each individual case. So moving on to the next story here. This one says, I had a recent paranormal experience, one of many from over the years, occurring roughly every year or two. I am married and have 2 kids. This experience involved my wife, who partially witnessed it. It took place late at night, after watching a movie and heading to bed. My wife and I were in bed when we heard the doorknob twist and the bedroom door pop open. We initially assumed it was one of our boys coming into the room, as our kids occasionally do. I stood up and noticed the door slowly opening, but no one was visible in the doorway. The door swung open wide, as if pushed by an invisible force. I expected to see one of my sons, but found nothing in the hallway. After a prolonged pause, the door began to close on its own, and then latched and finally shut, with the doorknob releasing. This experience triggered an adrenaline rush and a fight or flight response in me. My wife was confused and asked which of our sons had come upstairs. I checked the hallway and stairwell, but found nothing. Both my wife and I went downstairs and found our sons sleeping in their bedroom. I usually have strange experiences on my own and then tell my wife about them, but this was the first time she was present and awake to witness one. I ruled out the possibility of wind causing the door to open, as I work in construction and take care to ensure my doors are properly latched. So that's where the story ends. To me, even if sort of the way that the door closes after kind of to me rules out the possibility of it being something to do with the house settling or wind or breeze or whatever. I can understand doors opening. I mean, that if you hear about that, that happens. Pressure changes, wind, whatever. But the fact that it closed back up after it opened to me is amazing, and suggests that there was someone there that I just did not see that opened the door, maybe was checking out the room, and then closed it, and then was gone. I wonder, in a way, um, if it was one of the boys, one of the kids, sort of somehow astral projecting, coming to maybe visit the parents, and then realizing, wait, I'm still asleep, sort of as everything was happening. But then again, it doesn't. I feel like I've only heard a few examples ever of anyone that's sort of having an out of body experience or um, some kind of projection like that. I haven't really heard too many stories of them interacting with physical objects to that degree. So I don't know. And so yeah, I don't know. It's the yeah. It's really odd story there. So the it seems like maybe someone, whether it was the kids or not, in some kind of altered state, they were just moving around. Maybe it was some other entity entirely, and then they open the door and, oh, there's people in here. I better go, and then close the door, sort of like what Rohan is saying in the chat there. Hello, Rohan. Um, yeah, it's just an amazing story. If it just opened and then that was it, again, it would be really easy to at least sort of write that off as any number of natural physical causes to that, to a door opening. But when it closes like that, and then also latches, that's really amazing there. So I don't know with that one, but um, I'm glad that nothing else happened at the time. It's amazing as well that the writer has had many experiences, so they were but and yet they still had a reaction to what happened here, probably because it wasn't just them, I would guess. um but yeah, neat story as well. So moving on to the next one here. Let's see here. Okay, this one says, I live in a roughly 100-year-old house in the UK. My aunt visited with a friend named S. Of course, I don't use names here. Known for her psychic abilities. S claimed there was a presence in the house named M. Again, just going with letters here. Describing her appearance. I owned a wristwatch with an analog face and a digital panel. A year or two after hearing about M's presence, the watch went missing. I verbally asked M for help finding the watch one Sunday afternoon, after I had searched for days before this. The next morning, my husband and I heard the watch's alarm, which had its I lost my spot. Oh, there we go. Which led us to a drawer in the dresser where we found the watch in a pair of shorts. The watch had no alarm function set, and if it was set, it would have beeped at 3 p.m., its last set time. There is no rational explanation for the watch's behavior, and it's been about 15 years since the incident. Other incidents have occurred in the house, which I attribute to M looking out for us. I misplaced the watch again recently, but haven't received any response to requests, leading me to think that the house or the watch is no longer inside the house, and I must have left it elsewhere. Other than the terrible reading there that I did, sorry about that. That's the end of that story. Really amazing that there was this watch that was sort of misplaced. I really wonder, and this is not sort of a judgment on anyone, but when you have people or entities that are from different time periods and they see devices that they don't understand or they're curious about, I wonder if sort of they go to look at them and for some whatever reason they end up taking them, and that's why people can't find them. But then when people ask for them, they're sort of they feel bad for taking it or moving it, and so they put it back. Of course, then the question is, how does that work? How does it vanish? Where does it go to when it's not there? But it's amazing that happened with the watch coming back like that and being put in a place where it was not there before, obviously. So, but and if it's someone from a completely different time period, then it makes sense that they'd be curious. I had that happen with an old cell phone once, actually, where I had it set on the table next to my bed, and I went to sleep at night back when I was still slept more at night than in the daytime like I do now. And this was not long after I moved into this apartment. And I woke up the next morning and the phone was not there. And now this time I didn't have to ask for anything, but I was thinking that's weird. Where did the phone go? And I looked around the bed and everything, and I had a pair of pants that were sort of stored near the bed there for use another time. And the phone was in the pants pocket. Now I know I put it on the table the night before, but I wonder if someone, again, if you think about someone from another century or another time, and they see these objects that we have now, I don't blame them for being curious about what they are, and then looking at them and either putting them back in a different spot just because they I don't know, maybe they want it to be um want us to know that they were there, or I don't know. There's a lot of different reasons that things could happen, I think. Also, I wonder if sometimes they can only hold the objects. Holding these objects takes energy, and maybe they can't physically put it back where it was for some reason. Because otherwise, it does seem like it's sort of a not so nice thing to do. But in so many cases, there's nothing else going on to indicate that whoever's there is not nice or evil or anything like that. It's just things happen in certain ways. So I wonder about that, how that works. But so yeah, I don't know with that one, but I've had experience with that. I did have an experience with a phone charger where I asked out loud one time when I had set it on a chair, and I knew where I had set it, and I went to get it this one day, and it was not there, and I felt around the chair and everything and could not find it, and I asked for help finding it because my phone ran out of power. I had said out loud, my family is going to start getting worried if they can't reach me. So, and not long after that, it was back where I'd put it when I went to look around again. So, weird things can happen with objects. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care.